Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bourbon Bytes. Welcome to another Thursday night live stream. So glad to be back with you guys, even though I'm here every week. So glad that you are back with me, I guess is the better thing to say. Needless to say, welcome to a stream about laws. And Donnie, I saw your comment. I literally was planning on saying that, but you kind of stole my thunder there. Ain't no clause when you're drinking laws. So, Donnie, you beat me to the joke. But good to see everyone here. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hope everyone is doing well. I saw Sugar Kitty hanging out here. Steven, Swan, me, Brandon. Brandon says, evening, everyone. Great meetup last weekend. Yes, I had a great time with my local group, hanging out and drinking lots of whiskey. So much fun. Always good to see those guys. I see SoCal Buns in the chat. Don't recognize the username, but I love the name. Also in SoCal here. Maybe I know you, maybe I don't, but welcome. Alexander is here. Zophir's here. Good to see you. David Goldman, good to see you. I feel like it's been a minute since I've seen you, but good to see you back in the chat. I think that's everyone here. Good to see a good crowd tonight. As always, we are going to be doing a giveaway. Well, not as always, but as I always like to do as much as possible. So y'all know the drill. Every $5 super chat, you will earn one entry into the giveaway where I'm giving away 5 samples from tonight's pours. So you'll have a chance to try every single whiskey that I'm trying here tonight. But most of all, the super chats do help out the channel. I just like giving back a little bit and giving you an entry into the giveaway just every time I see those come in. So thank y'all for watching. I see Adam here as well. Good to see you, Adam. Perry, this is my Bourbon Podcast. If y'all missed his stream earlier, go check out the replay. He was drinking a lot of dusty turkeys that I really wish I could have got. But congrats, Bill. But I really want those. But good to see you, Perry. So question, how familiar are y'all with laws? So I have heard a lot about it. This brand has been around for a while. Quite a few channels that I already watch on YouTube have already reviewed it. In fact, it's Bourbon Night did a review like 3 or 4 years ago. So when I saw this sample set pop up at my local store, I had to pick one up just to give it a try. So fortunately, these are larger samples, so I'm able to share as well with you guys. So like I said in the description below, you'll win a 1-ounce sample because I'm splitting it with you with these sample bottles. So you can try them not along with me, but if you want to watch the replay of the stream, you can try them there. If you're watching the replay right now, hello, good to see you. Feel free to skip around down below. I will put markers where I'm doing each of these tastings, so you can find the one that you're drinking along with me. But for those of you that may not know much about this distillery, I'm kind of right there with you. Unfortunately, I don't have a brand rep on to talk about them. But you know what? I'm just going to, I did my bit of research a bit. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys, give my honest feedback. Now, I will say this sample set that I got from my store is an older sample set. So I was confused because I've seen some of these older picks from them. I was like, how are they doing older picks, but these samples just say like at least 2 years old? So apparently this sample set came out a while back, but they're still selling it. Like it's literally still on their website to buy, and it's still available at the distillery as of June of 2022. So I don't know exactly why they're still selling these as kind of like an intro to the brand, but you know what? We're going to do it. They do have some more older releases that are out now that are bottled in bond releases. They have a few other cask strengths. One of the ones we're trying tonight is cask strength, but so I think they should really update their sample set, especially if they're sending them out to stores like my store, so we can try some of their newest stuff. That's at least my opinion on it. So all of these releases, with the exception of the single barrel store pick, are 2 to 3 years old. They all say 2 years on the label, but the website says 3 years. So we're just going to go somewhere around there, 2 or 3 years. But we're going to try 4 different types of whiskey here. We're going to try their 4-grain bourbon, their wheat whiskey, their malt whiskey, their rye whiskey, and like I said, a single barrel select of their rye whiskey at barrel strength from our friends from my local liquor store at K&L Wine and Spirits. Not sponsored. Wish I could be though. K&L, if you're watching this, I tagged you on Instagram. Watch it. But yeah, I just picked up this single barrel today. So I thought this would be fun to drink along with you guys. So get caught up in the chat here for a minute. David asks, hey Clifton, any idea of this year's Midwinter's Night Dram is going to be the last one? They're calling it Encore instead of Act 10, which has me and others wondering. David, I saw that label, and I saw they're aging it in white port barrels as opposed to the normal tawny port that they use for this. It almost seems so. Now, I don't necessarily see why they would do that, just because It's probably one of their most successful products. I could see them doing the transition. Maybe, that was a blend of, I believe, their stock and MGP. I think they're mostly moving to just their stock now. So it maybe they're ending it because of that. Maybe they just want to change up the label if they're going to change where the whiskey's coming from. I'm not sure, but that's my theory too. I also think that this might be the end of Midwinter Jam as we know it, at least. But I definitely want to get my hands on that bottle. It sounds really great. Donnie says, tonight is your chance. I am not entering. Now, if we can get Don Nishida to not enter, you have a much better chance. Well, there you guys go. Like I said, I know this isn't like a super popular brand that everyone wants to get their hands on, but for like $5, you get a chance to try it. And I can guarantee you can't get this for cheaper than $5 at the bar. So Steven says it's definitely one of the OG Colorado craft distilleries. That's what I'm thinking too. I think it's probably the first one I heard of out of Colorado. There's quite a few more now. I haven't had much opportunities to try other Colorado whiskeys, but this is probably going to be one of the first. I think I've probably had some Stranahan's or something, but yeah, it's definitely one of the first ones I've tried. Yeah, so Brandon says they also sell the sample box on their website. So that's what I'm saying. They're still selling it. So like, you can't blame me for picking up the sample set, even though it is a few years older of the whiskey in there. Or it's an older release, but it's younger whiskey. That sounds confusing, but hopefully y'all are following what I'm saying. Emily's dropping in to say to hit all the YouTube things. Yes, hit the thumbs up if you are excited for another stream. And if you're a patron and you're excited for tonight's hangout, hit the thumbs up. And if you're just watching the replay, hit the thumbs up. It does help out. Rex Lugo is here. Cheers to good. Rex Lugo is here. Cheers, Cliffy. Cheers to you. Good to see you back this week. Steven says, interesting. That would be sad. Maybe it's because they're moving away from MGP. That's kind of my theory as well. I don't know. Again, I don't have a contact at the distillery. I wish I did. Might have to ask our Utah friends. I'll be seeing them in 2 weeks in Las Vegas, so maybe they'll give me some insight. I don't know. They make their way there sometimes. Alexander is in for the giveaway. He says, throwing my hat in the ring, sipping some Wild Turkey 101, debating if I think I prefer Jim Beam Black over this. It's a close fight. Interesting, Alex. I think that's definitely a preference kind of thing. I mean, I at one point was buying a lot of Jim Beam Distiller's Cut, which I don't know if it's fully discontinued, but it's definitely like a lot more limited than it used to be. That was like a 100 proof offering. It's different from their bonded, but that was my go-to budget pour. So I can't get that as much anymore. At least I haven't checked lately. But that would be a strong competition. Jim Beam, I think, the extra proof Wild Turkey 101 for me gives it the leading edge over Jim Beam Black. But y'all let me know in the chat. What do y'all think between Jim Beam Black or Wild Turkey 101? Again, it's personal preference. I'm a big turkey fan, but I'm also a big Jim Beam fan. So that's really good. Emily says white port is a pretty rare cask. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. So would absolutely be interested in trying that. They say it's a lot more brighter flavors like citrus and like some of the like white wine kind of flavors, and that's really interesting to me, especially with rye whiskey. I really don't think I've had a rye whiskey that's aged in like white wine, unless I did the Doc Swenson's once and they did use some white wines, but I think those were bourbons. I could be wrong. I'll have to track my memory, but most of the Chardonnay finished things I've ever had have always been bourbons. So I could be mistaken, but y'all always know to call me out when I'm wrong. Stacy's in the chat, 4 Leaf Whiskey, one of the newest whiskey channels here on YouTube. Y'all go subscribe to her channel. I did a stream with her a few weeks back, and we did a bunch of fun Irish whiskeys, including Gold Spot. So if you missed that, go check it out on my channel just a few weeks ago. But most of all, go check out and subscribe to her channel. Always love supporting new whiskey tubers here. Regs is in for the giveaway. Samples, please. Well, thank you so much for the entry. You have a pretty good shot with this $20 super chat. I'm stumbling over my words. I think it's because I just ate dinner really quickly to make sure I was here on time. So feeling a little energetic, but thank you so much for the super chat and good luck to you. Thank you for entering. Make sure to miss anyone here. Anything to help out the Cliffy Bus? Oh, I thought I was wearing my Cliffy Bus shirt. I'm just wearing my Bourbon Bytes Pro Drinker shirt, which is a tribute to Tony Hawk Pro Skater. If you guys know, you know. If you want to get your own merch, you can go to bourbonbytes.threadless.com, which I threw up down there, to get access to my Cliffy Bus shirt. This shirts with my logo on it. I think there might still be a sale going on right now. So I'm not in control of the sales. Threadless does those. So check it out. See if there's a banner at the top that says on sale and get your Cliffy Bus Bourbon Bytes merch now. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, let's see. What are we? People are sounding off from the Wild Turkey debate. David says Wild Turkey 101 for me. Swan says turkey all day. Sugar Kitty says I like Old Granddad bottled and bond. Another great option in that in that world. I mean, it's closer in proof to the Wild Turkey. It's also probably closer in price. I mean, Jim Beam Black, I think, is a little bit cheaper, and Old Granddad Bottle and Bond's maybe a little bit more expensive. So kind of like right in the middle between those two is where Wild Turkey fits in. Reg says, I've never tried JB Black. Wild Turkey 101 is the OG of value. Yeah, especially in the whiskey tube community. I think it's one of the most well-respected budget bottles. Yeah, Brandon says, don't forget to hit that like button. If you guys haven't noticed, this is going to be much more of a chill stream. It's been a minute since I've done a stream without a guest on, and as much as I love having guests, last week we had Joseph Brazo on. As I mentioned, we had Stacy on, and then I've had a few brand reps on lately. I just wanted to have a bit of a chill moment. It's been a really busy week for me in real life stuff. Those on Patreon know what's going on there. By the way, I guess I'll go and do my Patreon plug. Might as well get it out of the way. You can support the show for as little as $2 a month on Patreon, patreon.com/Bourbon Bytes. Get access to things like polls to help shape the future of the show, get access to updates on my personal life and the crap I'm going through, as well as early access to my videos, and at the higher tiers, even exclusive hangouts. So, like I said, patreon.com/Bourbon Bytes. By the way, if you guys noticed over there, I pinned the link to our Discord server. So if you're not yet on our Discord server, I know most people here are. It's an awesome community of whiskey-loving people who maybe like video games too. You don't have to, but you can join that at the link over there. Get it on your phone or on your browser. You don't have to be a patron. You can just be a member of the community and people that come week to week. I'd love to see you on there. We hang out all the time. We chat. We share bottle picks. We share Dickel picks. If you know, I already said that. If you know, you know. Again, Tyler is mostly to blame for that. 4-leaf whiskey's never had either. Well, Stacy, you know what? We need to set you up with like a budget bourbon flight. I know you've been doing some other bourbons from other channels, probably some more higher end ones, but how about we do a budget bourbon and then maybe we could do a budget Irish? Ooh, ideas are flowing, Stacy. Let's stay in touch. I'd love to have you on again. It'd be so much fun. Yep, Old Granddad 114, another great option there. Wild Turkey 101. Swan said, after Joseph, I would take a break as well. No, Joseph was great. He was so much fun. I'm looking forward to hanging with him and his wife in Vegas. By the way, are any of you guys in the chat going to the Las Vegas meetup over Labor Day weekend? It's in 2 weeks. We'll see Chris and Lil from Australia. It's Bourbon Night is hosting a meetup Friday night that I'm looking forward to at the Cosmopolitan. Man, it's just going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to seeing all the whiskey folks that are able to make it out. I hope to see some of you there in the chat. Brandon says, I haven't drank any whiskey yet. Oh no, whatever shall I do other than get some whiskey in my glass? So thanks for the reminder. Let's do it. So let's start with their 4-grain bourbon. So it looks like I've drank some of this. I've actually just pre-poured the samples that I'm giving away. So I didn't want to accidentally drink it all tonight during the hangout and be like, crap, I didn't pour the samples. So as you can see, this says the 4-grain straight bourbon whiskey. It also says aged, it's hard to show. It says aged at least 2 years, which all the info I could actually find on their website was that it is 3 years old. So this might just be an older bottle. But a little bit about this whiskey. So like I mentioned, Laws is out of Denver, Colorado, and their big focus is on the fact that there are no shortcuts. So they do not source their whiskey. They've never have sourced their whiskey. They also don't source their grains. They don't age outside of Colorado. They do it all on site in state. So they are working with 2 different farms local to the area to source their grains, from their corn to their rye to their barley. It's all locally sourced, and that's what they're really proud of. Now, like some people in the chat said, they're one of the OGs to do it. So they're having some releases come out that are like 7, 8, 9-year-old ryes and bourbons that are using these grains that are grown just locally to them, which is awesome. We've seen a lot of distilleries pop up lately that have been sourcing local grains, but they're very, very young and they're very, very early on. So I think I'm going to be getting a bit of a taste of how Laws was a few years back from this tasting. But like I said, we have a single barrel store pick that came out within the past year that is at K&L. So this one is going to be a lot more closer to what their stuff coming out nowadays is. So, but I'm excited to taste it all the way through, starting with their 4-grain bourbon whiskey. By the way, they are using heirloom and heritage grains. So they are, like I said, working with individual farmers to kind of source these hard to harvest grains. They're ones that most people aren't using just because they're difficult to use, but they are local. And I think that's what they really pride themselves in. They use an open air on grain fermentation, almost said fermutation, which if you know, Ardbeg has the fermutation, which is also an open air fermentation. I am struggling tonight. I need some whiskey. And they also use copper pots to column stills. So with that, let's get into this 4-grain bourbon whiskey. Like I said, it is a heirloom varietal of wheat, barley, and rye. They aged them for, it says 3 years on the website, in 53-gallon charred oak barrels. And they are influenced by the high altitude climate. An entirely novel bourbon unfolds. All right, so we got that one poured. Now, the mash bill of this one is 60% corn, 20% heirloom wheat, 10% heirloom rye, and 10% heirloom malted barley. So 60, 20, 10, and 10. Mash bill proof is 47.5. Price range is about $47. That's at least, it's not available in my area other than the sample set, but the closest store to me has it for $47. So we're going to go with that. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything here in the chat. But I do got some bourbon poured now, so we'll at least get something going there. So yeah, lots of votes here. Thank y'all for all your input. I'm up for a budget pour night. Awesome. Yeah, Stacey, let's be in touch. Rex Logo says, if you do a budget bourbon live stream, please put out all the info so we can drink along with you. Hey, absolutely. Well, if you are a member of the Discord server, I usually, whenever I schedule a stream, it gets notified on there. So that's another encouragement to join the Discord. You can get early. You can find out as soon as I plan a live stream. You can get the update there. So, James Taylor's in the chat. What's up, James? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. Lil says, just a quick hi, heading to brunch for our anniversary and then heading up the coast for the night. Cheers to you, Lil. Hope you have a wonderful trip and happy anniversary. That's awesome. I either need some whiskey or some sleep. How about both? Alexander says, I'm more of a Scotch guy, but I struggle to think of a better bourbon for me, period, let alone for that price. I remember really liking an Old Fitz something at the Heaven Hill tasting. Oh, yeah. I wonder if that's like one of the OG Old Fitzes. A lot of them got discontinued, and they're mostly distillery only. All right, so we got the 4-grain bourbon here in the glass, 2 to 3 years old. Let's go ahead and give it a nose. Oh, man. Yeah, you can definitely tell that this is a craft whiskey. And to me, at first, I ended up, or when I was first getting into whiskey, that note kind of was a turnoff for me. But now that I've tried so much craft whiskey and so many distilleries that are focused on doing their own grains and their own actual, on-site, local, everything, not just sourcing, I've really grown to appreciate it. On the nose, this is very, it's almost honey sweet. It's definitely got some of those kind of corn, I always say like grain dustiness to it. Like it has like actual milled corn kind of note. But there's like a sweeter, almost floral note there. And I do appreciate that they're putting this out at 47.5%. So it's not, the standard 80 proof release. Yeah, it's definitely got some honey notes there on the nose, but we're 20 minutes in and I haven't drank a single drop of bourbon. So let me go and try it. Cheers, y'all. Brandon says, no peeking at the tasting notes. Well, I mean, it is literally right here on the box, but I know I try to avoid looking at it until at least I've tasted through it once. So on the palate, well, first of all, I will say that proof kicks in. I think you can tell that this is a higher proof bourbon, even though it's not, cast strength or anything. It's high proof. Still a lot of the corn sweetness, which is to be expected for a 2 to 3 year old craft bourbon. And it's really creamy too. I mean, I think creamed corn is kind of the first thing. It's not like a popcorn or a kettle corn. It's like got a bit of that creamy element of a creamed corn. There's definitely some vanilla there. I think the vanilla kind of is the next layer of sweetness. Not as honey as it smelled. I think it smelled a lot more honey forward. Yeah, definitely is more of a honey, earthy sweetness on the nose. On the palate, though, it's more of like a sweet, sweet, like cream corn. Now, with it being a 4 grain, so we know that there is, of course, the corn, the wheat, the barley, the rye. I think the dominant one is the corn. Like I said, 60%. I think the interesting thing is it kind of does taste like a wheated bourbon. So it is 20% wheat compared to like the 10% rye and 10% barley. That wheat actually shows up. And I've noticed that with younger whiskeys. When whiskey gets older, I can't necessarily pull out those wheat notes, especially like a 4 grain. But with a young whiskey like this, I can really see how that wheat kind of rounds it out and gives it that creaminess that I'm getting on this. But it does have a bit of a short finish. It's kind of thin, which again, comes with age. But I will say, for their first release being the 4 grain bourbon, what a great start. And I know that they have some older releases of this now that I would really, really like to try. Cliffy's behind tonight. I know, like I said, I'm keeping it a little casual tonight. We're gonna still try to stick to time, but we're just hanging out. Hopefully y'all are having fun. 21 minutes in and only one sip. What is this amateur hour? I know, I'm catching up. I don't think you said anything nosing or tasting young. Did I miss it? So I did say it didn't necessarily smell. It smelled more of like the grain elements were there, which is typically indicative of a younger craft whiskey. Doesn't smell like young oak or anything though. There is some oak there. Yeah, I think with wheat being the secondary grain there, and there's a 3rd grain and a 4th grain, but the secondary grain being the wheat, that actually really helps it out, especially being this young. I think this gives it a smoothness. I know that word, but for it being 47.5% ABV, it gives it a smoothness and a mouthfeel that I think a whiskey 2 to 3 years old wouldn't have otherwise. It's a pretty dang good start. I'm really excited to move into their other releases. So the next one that makes sense to do compared to that one is their wheat whiskey. Mainly because I want to see what that wheat tastes like on its own. So let me go ahead and get that one out and read some info about it. See a few other people joining the chat. Good to see y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I know this. It's always hard when I'm doing more of a craft distillery, especially when I don't have a brand rep on. I hope that people have heard of it and are curious about it. But if they're not, I get it. There's other streamers you can watch. Speaking of other streamers, don't leave my stream because he's not live right now. Dungeons and Drams, good to see you, Bill. Bill from the Whiskey Dick hosts a weekly Dungeons and Dragons campaign featuring some of your favorite whiskey tubers, including me. That sounded very conceited, but we go live every Tuesday night at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern to play Dungeons and Dragons. I play the character of Nobilis, a half-elf warlock who has a thing for Knob Creek and shooting lasers out of his boobs, basically. You got to watch to find out. There's also a podcast version if you look on your favorite podcast platform. Dungeons and Drams is available there. Speaking of podcast, hey, why don't you subscribe to the Bourbon Bytes Podcast, which is my podcast. I put out a new episode every Friday. This Friday's episode is a review of the new Lafroig Cargis, the Warehouse 1 release. Got a sample from my friend Sally, and let me just say, it's an interesting one. It's very, very different from the PX Sherry Cask from last year. So let me know what you guys think of a podcast episode tomorrow, but make sure you follow me on your favorite podcast platform. So Bill, I'm a bit behind. I have only drank one so far, but we're working our way to our second one. I did mention that this sample set features mostly their early stuff. So all of these are labeled as at least 2 years old. I think it's probably closer to 3 based on the info on the website. But we're going to pour their wheat whiskey now. And like I said, I'll tell you all a little bit about it once we get that poured. I'm measuring my pours here. Doing a bit of a challenge this August to do some calorie counting. So I'm keeping track of all my food and all my drinks just to stay under that goal. See how it works out. Trying to get fit for Vegas, you know the drill. Fun game on a board. Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's interesting playing it virtually, but there is a virtual game board that you can actually watch while you're watching us play. It's really cool. Bill did an awesome job setting it up. Yes, laser nips. Tony Tutu's here. Tony Tuto's here in the chat. I said Tony Tutu's. Laser nipples. Yeah, he knows me. He knows me well. So like I said, check out that. For those of you just joining, I see we are up to 18 people here tonight. Thank y'all for tuning in. I know Craft Distillery, but we are doing a giveaway. Every $5 super chat is an entry to win all 5 of these pours. So if you are curious about trying them for as little as $5, you get a chance to win them. So moving on to the straight wheat whiskey. This is made now. This is one that the information I have may not necessarily reflect what's exactly in this bottle. I'm going from the description of their bottled and bond release. So something may have changed along the way. I don't know for sure. I can't find info on the original release that is included in this sample set that I'm working from. So forgive me if I'm missing some information. If anyone from Laws is watching this stream afterwards and you want to, give me some more info to leave in the comments below, please do. You can also, reach out, contact@bourbonbytes.com. Would love to have someone on from the distillery for a stream, maybe to try some of the new bonded releases. That would be so much fun. So if anyone's watching from the distillery, hit me up. Prescription Bourbon's in the house. Good to see you, man. It's been a minute. Well, maybe it's not. I think you were here last week. It's hard to keep track of who's here week to week, but I know I enjoy seeing you in the chat. But definitely check out Prescription Bourbon. Another awesome channel here. All right. So the wheat whiskey. This is their Centennial wheat, which is actually the name of the heirloom grain that the wheat is that they're using in this whiskey. It says the heirloom soft white varietal grown for us in the Is it San Luis Valley or San Luis Valley or San Luis Valley? I'm not from Colorado. Is anyone out there from Colorado or know the valley that this is actually referencing? Because I don't know. There's different names for Louis. Just let me know how it's pronounced. This is the first wheat whiskey so actually this the latest release of this was the first wheat whiskey to be bottled and bond in Colorado, which is really exciting. This is not the bottled and bond version, but definitely is a wheat whiskey on the nose. Apparently Colorado is known as the Centennial state. Did not realize that. All right. Bill is in for the giveaway. He said, let's get the ball rolling. Well, there are a couple of other entries, but I appreciate that, Bill. Thank you so much. And you're definitely in for the drawing. If you win, you're going to have to drink them on a stream or on our next session. I don't know, maybe. James says, enjoy the D&D and the regular broadcast. Oh, thank you so much, James. I appreciate your support and, being a patron and a Bite Club member here on YouTube. You're awesome. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you for the super chat. Louis, San Luis Valley. Okay. I think I said that right. Okay. I think that's the first thing I said. I could have said Louis. I don't remember. San Luis Valley. All right. Old man Joe's in the chat. How late am I? No worries, man. I'm only on my second whiskey. We're halfway through. We got 5 whiskeys to drink tonight. So good time. Good time. I'm a little late to start, but good timing. By the way, looking forward to seeing you in Vegas. I believe you're going to be there. So good to see you in the chat as well. All right. Let me go to give a nose to this wheat whiskey. Yeah, like I said earlier, there's no doubt that this is a wheat whiskey. I think wheat whiskey, especially young craft wheat whiskey from the US, has such a light, airy nose. And I don't know another way to describe it better than that. But what I'm getting here is like a raw grain note. And I got a little of graininess on the bourbon, but that was kind of mingled with those sweeter notes. This though, on the nose, I mean, that is so light. So it takes me to it takes me to a barn. And I mean that in a good way. It's not like a hay note. I've gotten that note before, so it's not like horse feed or anything like that. But just the presence of being in a barn, there's a bit of that dry oak note there as well. Got to dig really deep for it, though. I wasn't getting it first. But that smells really unique. So let's go and give it a taste. Cheers. Ooh. Found the flavor. On the nose, that was tough. I wasn't getting as much of the flavor notes. Ooh, that's really good. On the palate, it just coats the tongue. Like it's the same proof as the bourbon, the 47.5%, about the same age as the bourbon, but wow. And did I not just mention about the bourbon that I felt like the wheat was giving it the mouthfeel? This confirms it. This wheat, something about it, I don't know if it's the varietal of wheat or just the fact that it's a wheat whiskey. It just coats the mouth. It coats the tongue. Gives it a really oily, kind of thick note. Or not note, but thick effervescence. I don't know. I'm using words, guys. But the flavor was kind of hidden. I wasn't getting as much on the nose. Flavor-wise, wheat whiskey is always so interesting because it's so different from anything we drink, whether it be bourbon, scotch, rye whiskey. Wheat whiskey just on its own is such a unique beast itself. To me, this one, I gotta go for a third sip before I can even give you notes on that one. It's like I'm digging for this one because it's again unlike any other type of whiskey I normally drink, so it's definitely catching me off guard with the flavor profile. There's some oak there, and I keep going to dry oak. I don't know exactly what that means, but it almost tastes like not like a freshly cut piece of wood, but more of like again, back to the barn. Shall we go back to the barn illustration there? It's like an old barn, like the old, reclaimed wood from a barn that you sometimes would, make windows with or make furniture with. If you were to eat that, just kidding. But it kind of reminds me of the smell of that. But it has an underlying sweetness that I wasn't getting on the nose either. Now I'm cheating a little and I'm looking at their tasting notes. I don't necessarily get their tasting notes that they have here on the website. Let's see what they say on the back of the box. So they say floral with apple orchard, orange blossom and lilac, and a palette of marmalade, bergamot, and wild strawberry. Honey and bright minerality, add water or ice to mellow. Those are a lot of really sweet dessert notes. Not necessarily like the darker like caramels or anything, but I'm not going to pretend like I get strawberry on this. Man, it's been a minute since I've just been able to sit here and think about a whiskey. Hopefully you guys don't mind the silence. I feel like normally I'd have a guest when I'm so focused to keep the conversation going, but now I'm sitting here with this whiskey. It's really making me think, and I do like when a whiskey makes me do that. I do pick up a bit of the honey. Again, the honey seems to be the theme here. I got honey on the bourbon, especially on the nose. I didn't get honey on the nose of this one, but I got it on the palate. It's like a sweeter. This was more honeysuckle, less honey, not the thick earthy honey, but the honeysuckle flower. So they do mention flowers, so I'm onto something. But that makes me think, and Zopher brings up a good question here. You tend to pick up on the barnyard or the barn note on craft distilleries. You said the same with San Diego. So that's a note that I need to dial down a bit or dial in on a bit, because to me it means a lot of different things. I need to stop saying barnyard note because right now I'm talking about the literal barn. Sometimes when I say that, I'm talking about the hay, like the haystacks, hay bales. And other times I'm literally talking about a dirty old barn with horses and cows and stuff. So I need to stop saying barnyard. Now I'm saying barn. This is barn. I should also say hay. I'm thinking hay. I also don't want to say cow manure because that's not a note I want to give. But that is something I need to get better about. And it's something I'm learning as I try more craft distilleries because I do pick up on that. And I think the core of it really is that grain dustiness note, like a milled, let's say you're churning up some corn and there's kind of dust floating up in the air. That's the note that I get when I typically say barnyard. This though, when I dial in on it, it's more of that dry oak. Hopefully that makes some sense. Alexander said, where's the relaxing synth music in the background instead of awkward silence? Hey, I hope it's not awkward silence. I don't get a moment. I don't get often to sit here and actually think about a whiskey. I do with the podcast, which is a great platform. I edit it out a bit because I, can trim it down. But no, I like just sitting here and, think of it just sitting with a friend. I could turn on the background music, sure. But I feel like, I don't know. I like it more all natural. Also, the background music, I never know what I want to do with these streams after the fact. Let's say 5 years down the road, I want to put together a TV show or something. I don't know, just an idea. I don't want to have copyright music in the background. So just the reason that I don't use that. I'm just thinking for the future. There may be other uses for these streams. Maybe. We'll see. Anyways, that is a thinker. That is a really well done wheat whiskey. I haven't had too many wheat whiskeys, especially at that younger age, but this is really well done, and that's the best thing I can say about that right now. Again, would love to try it at a nicer, older age. All right, let's get this down. We got 3 more whiskeys to drink. No, we don't. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yeah, 3. Okay. The reason I'm getting confused is because I went out of order. I was actually going to start with go bourbon, rye, wheat, malt, and then the cask strength rye, but I decided that I wanted to do the rye and the cask strength rye back to back. So we're moving on to our 3rd pour now. Definitely going to just reuse the wheat glass because it wasn't like filling my senses. So next we're going to move on to, as I mentioned, the malt whiskey. So this one is also aged at least 2 years or 3 years according to the website. 47.5% ABV. This is called the Henry Road Straight Malt Whiskey. So the barley in our malt whiskey was literally kept from extinction. That's a hook right there. While commercial farmers found it too low yield, Wayne Cody found its unstripped flavor too glorious to let go. Today, his sons, in a field alongside Henry Road, continue to grow as well as malt this barley for us. So this is 100% heirloom malted barley. It's, I don't have malt whiskey unless it's, I do have malt whiskey like when it comes to like American single malts. But not from a distillery that's also doing bourbons and stuff. It's rare that I've actually tried it like this, so I'm excited to give this a try. Forgot that I'm supposed to be measuring it and keeping track of my calories. And I saw Bill's comment earlier saying it's kind of difficult to track alcohol. I know, especially at the end of the night, like I just want to enjoy like a pour or 2 or 3. And I'm like, but it does help me kind of have a bit of moderation on some nights because sometimes I could just like, those nights where you just like, not that you feel like getting drunk, but you feel like just sampling through your collection and like, oh, I want to see how this compares to this. Sometimes I get carried away with that and definitely feel it in the morning. So this helps me kind of prevent that. Steven says, I don't know if I've ever gotten a barnyardist note, but definitely more raw grains. Yeah, like I said, I need to dial in on that a bit more. To be clear, not awkward at all since it's just you here. I only mentioned it because you did. All right. Thank you for clearing that up. Yeah. Hopefully it's not awkward because, we need to pause and think about whiskey sometimes. All right. So let's go ahead and nose this malt whiskey. Old Man Joe coming in with the info drop. Straight malt at only 2 to 3 years. That'll be very malt forward. 6-year tames the malty note. That's good to know. Yeah, I think most of the American malt whiskey I've had has been a good bit older. There's a few craft ones in California that I've tried. There's one that I did. It was one of the first craft distillers I ever featured on the channel. I think it's like called 104 West, something like that. 104 Degrees West. Someone may know the distillery. They sent me a bottle. It was one of the first PR bottles I ever got. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but the brand did not send me this. This is totally for my own purchase. So that's why I'm speaking freely about it. I'm not going to lie to you guys if it's not good. I don't think anything's not good so far. I think the wheat was way more interesting than the 4 grain just because it had that mouthfeel. But yeah, so this is definitely not sponsored. But you can sponsor it by sending in super chats and get into the giveaway. Sorry. Oh yeah. Having the opportunity to know what malted barley smells like on its own definitely makes it so evident in this glass. I did a giveaway in a stream a while back ago for a intro to Scotch whiskey set that our friend Zofer, who was here in the chat earlier, or may all be also still here, he actually won it. By the way, Chris has your sample set now, Zofer, just FYI. And it has the actual unmalted and malted barley in like a little sample bottle, so you can smell it. So you can like snort it, no, just so you can smell it. And this definitely, you can tell once you smelled it, you'll pick up that note right away. That is a very, very malt forward note, which OMJ just said. Emily says there is a deep terroir, a dirt black note in wine too. Yeah, this is definitely earthy. Still kind of reminiscent of that grain note, that grain dustiness that I was getting on the corn whiskey or the bourbon. Snort it, got it. I mean, you can eat it too. Not gonna lie, I may have ate a couple, not from your set, but from my set. I mean, I don't recommend. I do not condone eating the raw grains, but you know, I eat a little nibble. Yeah, this one smells the most raw on the nose. I mean, I feel like I'm smelling the grains. So let me go and give it a taste. Cheers. Ooh, that one does a bit of a journey on the mouth. Wow. I think I have a new most interesting, and it's got to go to this malt whiskey. That's a journey. So it starts out, like I said, with those grain notes, but mid palate and finish, it transforms to something completely different. Up front, those grainy notes. Mid palate is a sweetness, that honey sweetness that I've been getting on all of these, right there at the mid palate. Back end is actually trying to determine if it's like a old oak or like a tobacco. There's something old on the back end that's really nice, and it really rounds it out. This is a journey of a whiskey. Wow. And the longest finish so far. I mean, that keeps going. I think I'm gonna go with tobacco. There's a bit of like a tobacco, like a cigar leaf on the back end of that. Oh man, that's a drinker. That is so good at 2 to 3 years old. That actually, y'all know I'm an American whiskey kind of guy. I like my bourbons, I like my rye. I rarely would prefer a malt whiskey over those, especially from the same distillery. They're onto something here. This is really good. And I'm not just saying that. I have no reason to just say that because, again, not sponsored. That is delicious. That definitely deserves. If you're gonna buy any of these so far, we still got 2 more to go. But that's a definite buy, especially if you can find it at an older age. Wow, really really good. OMJ says sponsor the American Single Malt Whiskey Club. Well, thank you so much for entering the giveaway. Hopefully, maybe you'll win this and you'll get a chance to try it. But thank you so much for supporting the show. Alexander says, so dumb question. No dumb questions here. I am a beginner when it comes to malt whiskey as well. I know what a single malt scotch is. What is a malt whiskey, or even American single malt if it's not 100% malted barley? So, Alexander, I actually talked about this on last week's podcast episode, I believe. I went into how they're trying to define American single malt as a category. There's actually not an official definition as of yet. The TTB is working with a bunch of different distilleries and lawmakers to settle on the definition of American single malt. So if you want to hear those specifics that they've proposed for American single malt whiskey, like I said, check out last week's episode of the podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, just search Bourbon Bytes Podcast. I believe it was last week when I went into the details of that new rule. But yeah, it's something that's never really been defined. So I'm very interested to see if this would qualify as a American single malt if they actually were to label it as that once these new rules go into place. That's a great question. Reg said, I would definitely like to hear your rankings of these samples. Least favorite to fave. Oh, most definitely. That's going to happen. I sometimes hesitate to do that when I have a guest on from the distillery, but when I'm just sitting here drinking them, hell yeah, I'll do that. All right, I'm going to set that off to the side because that's really freaking good. So good. Old Man Joe says, Clifton, I will bring a bottle to Vegas of a local Japanese single malt from Sonoma. Oh, okay. What makes it Japanese? Is it the oak, like Mizunara, or... Very, very interested. There's going to be a lot of whiskey in Vegas. By the way, OMJ, I'm not sure if I know like where you're staying. I'm staying at Harrah's. So are you staying on the Strip or are you staying with some of the other people? I think they're staying somewhere slightly off the Strip. Would love to know. Make sure we see each other because there's a lot of people coming. I'm going to try to see as many people as I can. But Japanese style. Gotcha. Oh, that sounds really interesting. All right, so let me finish off what's in this glass. We're going to move to the ryes because we have 2 ryes to try here tonight. So let's move to the San Luis Valley Straight Rye Whiskey. This one's available for about $54 in my area. Again, 2 to 3 years that I'm trying here. However, I have seen some pop up from the distillery that are 7 to 8 years old. And remember, this is their own rye. This is not MGP rye. They are not sourcing this rye. They are making this rye. So what we're trying right now is the younger release, but I imagine this is only going to get better. And that's why we're going to try the single barrel later on. That's going to be about 5 or 6 years old. So definitely going to see how this whiskey transforms into from a 2-year to a 5.5-year-old. I'm really excited to see how that goes. So some info about the rye. It says 8,000 feet above sea level in Colorado's San Luis Valley, the Cody family has been cultivating this low-yield, semi-wild rye grain since the 1930s. It says that Laws fell in love with how it ferments and distills into terroir-driven, unapologetic whiskey. So, oh, the flamingo, nice. Oh, we'll be like right beside each other. I mean, the link's in between us, but that's awesome. Yeah. Make sure you check the Facebook group. I know that there's a tentative itinerary that Lil has put together for each day of what they plan to do. Also, Sarah from It's Bourbon Night posted earlier today about the official It's Bourbon Night meetup that's happening on Friday night. So make sure you check that out and are in the loop about all that. I think we're going to get like a WhatsApp or something going later on to kind of get all the info together. But just make sure for now, check out the Facebook group for all that info. All right, let's give the rye whiskey a nose. This is 100. So this is another one that I don't have the full information on. One part of the website, it's literally listed 2 different ways on the website. One part of the website says it's 100% heirloom rye, whereas another part of the website says 95% rye and 5% barley. So I actually don't know if it's a 95.5 or 100%, but just it's all heirloom grains. It's all locally sourced grains, not sourced whiskey. So it's not so the Facebook group is called like Chris and Lil Hit Kentucky, but there's a Facebook event page that says Las Vegas Labor Day weekend. Just message Lil on Facebook. She'll get you added and everything, just in case I don't want you to miss out on that if you want to be up to date with all that stuff. So yeah, just shoot Lil a message on Facebook. Okay, on the nose, again, as with all these, grain forward, a bit of a dusty kind of grain note. This one, though, has a bit of like a... There's something else there. It's a citrus fruit. You know, it's almost pushing like a lemon cleaner, like a furniture polish or something on the nose. It has a bit of that like lemon astringency, I guess I would say. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a nuttiness too, like maybe a peanut, like a roasted peanut. But really different for a rye on the nose. So let me go and give it a taste. That's different. Not like any rye. Well, I don't want to say not like any rye I've had, but not like the rye forward ryes I've been enjoying a lot of lately. Even if it is 95 or 100% rye, I wouldn't guess that based on palate. It's got like an undertone of something that's leaning more like bourbony. That one requires a second sip. Brandon says, earlier when you mentioned a California distillery with single malt, were you talking about when we did the flight from Rod and Hammers? Oh, no. So I was talking about, there's another one that's called like 104 West, or it's something, it has the degree symbol in it. I've done it on the channel. But yeah, that I don't remember the name of it, but it was, they're out of San Diego area is all I know. But you're right. We did do that one as well. All right. You need a second sip of this one. This one has, on the back end for sure, it's got that minty note that's typical of rye. Mid palate though, I'll be honest, this isn't my favorite. I'm trying to talk around it like I have a rep on, but like no, this rye, to me, it's so grain forward that it doesn't taste like a rye. It's it's missing something. It's missing something that I can't quite place what this is missing. And whoever wins the samples, I want you to taste these and tell me what you think the rye is missing, because we're going to try a much older one after that's also included in the sample set. I think it'd be really fun to compare those two. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of that in the glass. I'm gonna hold my judgment on it. I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the malt whiskey. Malt whiskey, so good, so good. All right, and we're gonna move to the final pour of the night. I'm gonna come back to that. I just need to come back to it. So finally, we are ending with a barrel strength rye pick from K&L Wine and Spirits, which is my local liquor store here. Barrel Select. This is barrel number 508. It is, or maybe that means bottle number, I don't know. BBL BBL Brazilian Butt Lift number 508. A alcohol content. I was ALC. 58.9% ABV. This is the same San Luis Valley straight rye whiskey, selected by K&L Wine and Spirits. So I do have some info about this actual pick. So for if you do win the sample set, you'll know about it here. So this is actually 5.5 years old. It was distilled on December 28th, 2015, which is actually my mom's birthday. That might have been my mom's 50th birthday. Hold on, I gotta do the math in my head. But that it was distilled in 2015. It was bottled April 30th, 2021. So like I said, it's from last year. 5.5 years old, 58.9% ABV, non-chill filtered, and it's all the same info that we had before. However, this one has an additional piece of info that I don't know if we were just not given or it's not the same for the regular release. This is an equal blend of malted and unmalted rye. So I have a love-hate relationship with malted rye. So I'm really excited to see what I think about this one. But I think at that extra age, that's going to give it what it needs. Oh, it's a nice cork pop. I don't know if you could hear it. Reg said, final pour, big dog coming in hot. I know Cliffy's starting to show himself. He's coming out a little early. Bless up. Cheers to Mojo, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. It's definitely been a minute since I've seen you on the channel. But good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. Let me measure this real quick. All right. So let's see how this 5.5-year-old rye whiskey compares to a 2 to 3-year-old rye whiskey. By the way, this is going to be the last call for the giveaway. So we're going to go a little overtime with the stream, but I'm cutting off the giveaway at 8 p.m. So you have about 5 minutes to get your entry in. You will win 1 ounce samples of all 5 of these pours. I'd love to hear your thoughts after you've tried them, especially if you have experience with some of their bonded releases. I'd love to hear how they compare. So like I said, you can send a super chat every $5 you send. It gets you 1 entry. Right now, there are where are the entries? Oh, there they are. Okay. I was nervous. Right now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 entries. So thank you to everyone who has entered so far. So yeah, like I said, would love to share these with someone else that may appreciate these. Oh, man. Nose is so different on this older one. This is my wheelhouse. This is really good on the nose. Oh, man. So whereas the rye whiskey, the straight rye whiskey, the 2-year-old had a bit of like a lemon, like furniture polish note, this is back into like what I look for. This has got a lemon zest. It's got like a zestiness to it. It's also got like it's very bright, but there's also like an underlying layer of, it's like a caramel. Like there's like a caramel note there too, which kind of leads into the note that I was saying about the regular rye. That just I wasn't expecting a rye whiskey to have that dark note that kind of tastes like a bourbon. Yeah, that smells delicious on the nose. So I'm not gonna delay it. I know we're running a little bit late, so let's go and give it a taste. Cheers. Oh, Ooh. Well, definitely can tell it's higher proof than everything else. But that does not hit like a rye. That there's like a caramel, like candy, kind of like almost like a peanut brittle or like a praline. I mean, I'm from South Carolina. Like praline samples in Charleston on River Street Sweets is kind of like my favorite treat. This has got some of those like peanut brittly praline kind of notes on a rye. What is happening? What the heck? It's definitely more of like a, I mean, in the same realm of like a praline or like a River Street Sweets kind of thing. If you're from Savannah or Charleston or anywhere down there, you know that River Street Sweets or Market Street Sweets are like a they make fresh made desserts that are usually like caramel, pecan, butter, lots of butter. Um, this kind of is taking me to those candy shops. I'll take you to the candy shop, but I won't let you. Nah, what am I doing? Okay. Anyways, back on track, Cliffy. So this has a salty kind of note, like a salted caramel. Oh boy, this for someone with a sweet tooth, this is a dangerous whiskey. Wow. I'm glad I ended with that one because that's okay. Let me go back to the other rye, the one that was 2 to 3 years old. Let's see if we can kind of pick up on some of those notes starting to be formed with this one. By the way, 2 minutes to the sample giveaway. Hopefully that sold you on that bottle. So you'll get a sample of that one as well to try. I think if you have a sweet tooth, that's definitely going to be the one for you. Going back to the rye whiskey from the sample set, I get a hint of that. And I think it's what I was picking up is kind of like that corn like sweetness that I wasn't expecting on a rye whiskey because it's a rye whiskey. So much thinner though, so much less. There's caramel there, but not the salty, rich. Oof, sorry, went down the wrong way. But not like the salty, rich kind of caramel that I was getting on the cast strength one. The cast strength one, gotta go back to that one. Wow, if that's not a testament to how a few extra years can completely transform a whiskey, I don't know what is. Of course, this is a single barrel. It's also 5.5 years old. But wow, it's also cast strength. That's what I meant to say. That, yeah, that's where it's at. I got a new favorite. So I think Regs was asking for a rundown of my favorites. So Brandon says, "Don't tell me that Bourbon Bites. LOL. I need to try this and see if it's as good as you're saying." Well, you can, Brandon. I have a whole bottle of it, so that one will definitely be around your here. Just make sure I didn't miss anything early on. Hit that like. Yes, we are almost done with the stream, but please hit the like button before we do our drawing because it'll give you extra good luck if you enter the giveaway. It won't, but just whatever your mind's eye tells you. Good buttery praline, please. Oh yeah, Emily knows what's up. I actually think they have a River Street Sweets down in Orlando area. I'm not sure if you've been there, Emily, but yeah, you know what's up. SoCal Bun says delicious. Oh, absolutely. I suspect Take You to the Candy Shop only comes out after 5 shots. That's definitely a Cliffy moment. If I'm in Vegas, I will definitely be singing it, not just quoting it. That's all I got to say. So, yeah, OMJ. Are you on my Discord? If you're not, there's my link to it up there. Lil is on my Discord, so feel free to join it. Everyone, that goes for everyone in the chat. If you're not joined the Discord server, the link to it's right there, open to everyone. But yeah, you can message Lil there as well. It's separate from the Discord that everyone else is on. This is my own personal community. Most of these guys are there, so y'all make sure to get in on that. All right, y'all ready for a giveaway? Let me get my ranking first. I'll give my ranking and then we'll do the giveaway. Yeah, got it. My least favorite of this lineup was the Let me find it. All these bottles look the same. Okay. My least favorite was the straight rye whiskey, just the standard release, the aged 2 years version, 2 to 3 years. It had something, you could tell something unique was being concocted. It just didn't do it for me. Second to least favorite. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. The 4-grain bourbon. Again, this is their younger release, 2 to 3 years old. Maybe it gets better. Hashtag it gets better. Maybe. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. I would drink it. It had some unique characteristics. I really like that sweetness that it gave me, like the honey sweetness. But it's okay. Second favorite, and the second and first place were really close for me. My second favorite was the malt whiskey. This one was unlike any other malt whiskey from the US I've ever had. It was so flavorful, so nice. On the nose, I was hesitant. I didn't really love the nose, but on the palate, this one blew me away. For as young as it is, this was so good. And of course, that means my favorite of the night was this single barrel select from K&L Wine and Spirits here in Southern California. This is still available for anyone that is in SoCal. You can order it. There's 2 different barrel picks. This is the barrel number 508. Yeah, so this one's still, there's 6 bottles left in Hollywood. By the way, I picked this up today, so I saw. Yeah, this is a winner. This was $75 retail. It's on sale for $55. I would pay $75 for it. I think for a well-aged craft rye whiskey at cask strength, definitely worthy of the price. So hopefully that tells you some info, but now someone's going to get a chance to try all 5 of these themselves. So y'all ready for the Wheel of Whiskey? I'm ready for the Wheel of Whiskey. Let's get that pulled up real quick. Building suspense. You know I got to do that. You know I got to do it. All right. Let's go to our... Oh, let me actually put it together. I should probably put together the Wheel of Whiskey before I share the Wheel of Whiskey. That would be great, wouldn't it? All right. Get those extra entries in from Regs, who got 4 entries tonight. Awesome, man. Good luck to you, and good luck to everyone else that entered. Let me shuffle those around a bit. All right. So I got everyone's entry into the Wheel of Whiskey. Let's go and pull it up here so y'all can see. All right. So everyone that entered tonight's giveaway, you are on the board. Let's spin the Wheel of Whiskey. Well. Who do we have here? Mr. Dungeons and Drams. Bill, congratulations on winning the sample set. I look forward to getting this out to you, hearing your thoughts on it. Like I said, you got to do it on a stream. But thank you to everyone that entered. I appreciate your support so much. It means the world to me, especially with all my real life stuff going on right now. Like I said, patrons know, but thank y'all so much for watching. This was so much fun. If y'all get a chance to try this, if you're watching the replay, leave a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite was. Have they gotten better with the older releases, or there's like the standard off the shelf stuff still not great? Let me know. But I am a big fan of that single barrel rye and the malt whiskey. I can't wait to try more from them in the realm of those 2 things. So patrons, everyone $10 and up, y'all know the drill. The after party is right after this. I will pop over to Discord right after I clean up my mess of all these bottles. But until next time, thank y'all so much for watching. I'll be back here next Thursday night with a very special stream, maybe featuring someone from the community who may or may not be in the chat tonight. We'll see. We'll still work out the details there, but should be a lot of fun. Make sure to listen to tomorrow's podcast. Like I said, reviewing the new Lafroig Cargis, as well as some news about a single barrel Booker's that is like supposedly coming out. We'll see if we can get our hands on it. Probably we can't, but listen to the podcast. Cheers, y'all. Have a great night. Be safe. If you're, I don't want to say be safe, but just be safe. I'm heading down to Newport Beach tomorrow, so this is more of a message to myself. Be safe. But for anyone else that's traveling this weekend, I know Lil is going for their anniversary. Be safe. Everyone else, have fun. Cheers. I'll talk to y'all next week. And until next time, this has been the Bourbon Bytes, not podcast. This has been Bourbon Bytes, whiskey podcast. Wow. Cliffy has hit the building. Not hit the building. That sounds a little too morbid. The Cliffy bus has come. There we go. Better. Kind of weird with the coming thing, but this will be a fun hangout, y'all. All right. Cheers. See y'all next week. Have a great one.